Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Slammer. Today I'm very pleased to be bringing you a Mech versus Rax game. I am in the bottom left in the red, facing Dragon ArcherZ in the blue trunks. We see a pretty standard Raider first. Raider actually is able to kill the first Gatling, so a bit of miscontrol on my part. But this Raider's not going to get anything more done. He's going to have to run away from this Worker and Gatling combination. And this game is going to progress at a pretty standard pace from this position onward. The cool thing about this game that we're going to notice... also, I accidentally unclicked my Worker from construction for a while, so that's a pretty poor play there. It's going to force us into a pretty awkward position. But it's fine. And so the interesting thing about this game is we're going to actually go for mill play here. And mills are a really interesting unit in the current Mech versus Rax meta, because I'm pretty sure that it's basically completely new. I don't think anyone really has been playing with gyros much against Rax. I certainly haven't seen it or played it myself. So this is kind of uncharted territory. So it's pretty exciting to see how this will work out and how this will play out in this game. Dragon ArcherZ is going to sneak a Raider into my base over here. And this is going to scout out. I mean, the mills have already been scouted out, so you can see Dragon ArcherZ has responded by throwing down an advanced workshop. Our blue player already has a really nice economy. He's going to shark around with a Raider over here. If we look at the income tab, you can see that the Rax player has already achieved a couple hundred gold advantage. And this Raider is actually going to get 2 worker kills. 3 worker kills. So a bit of a poor miscontrol by me. Already, we've just kind of had a pretty rough early game. We're pretty far down from the bad castle production and then losing a couple workers early on. The Rax player is already in a really advantageous position. Almost a winning advantage, honestly, having 18 to 26 workers. However, the nice thing about Mech is you often have some comeback potential, and you can make things work. So I'm going to be trying to use these gyros to harass a little bit and kind of pull back as much as possible from this disadvantage. We're going to fly in here right away, start poking at a worker. The archers are going to shoo us away really quickly. And this game is just going to continue at a pretty normal pace and state. We're up to 4 gyros, so now we can kind of continue to shark around, try to go for the main, try to go for the natural. You can see that Dragon ArcherZ is playing very defensive and safe. He's got his first ballistay out with a AoE upgrade on the way. So that upgrade is 100 gold and allows the ballistay to have an ability which does AoE damage. You click it on a air unit and it does area of effect on the air units, which is really strong against gyros because gyros clump quite heavily. But the supplies are fairly equal in all events. We're about, 9 workers below our opponent here. But we've got 3 bases up, we've got a solid economy, and we're pretty safe against any pushes because of the gyro counts. He can't really do a ton aggressively yet. I have some catapults, some cannons in position, and I can shark with these gyros and do any damage that I can. So the game is just going to continue at a pretty sedate pace for a little while here, as both of us are just gearing up for this longer macro game. Dragon ArcherZ is the first one going to make any move out. A bit of a miscontrol on my part. Shouldn't have tried to go in for any shots there. But I do lose a gyro for free, which is unnecessary, to say the least. And then, unfortunately, a Raider is going to sneak in to my base, which, again, is kind of a poor control situation. But this Rax force is really not large enough to threaten this. We just had a pause there, which was kind of a weird moment to have a pause right as the action was happening. But not a problem. Everything is smoothly done and dusted. And we're about 10 workers down, and Dragon ArcherZ is just getting his 4th base up. So in general, the economies have kind of semi-equalized. We're still a little bit behind, and we need, a couple more workers, about 6 more workers to be fully saturated on all our bases, because of course 12 workers is max saturation on a mine, for those of you who did not know that. So now I'm going to trying to seal off this left side of my base. Got some towers. I'll probably throw at least one catapult there just to defend that position. But with units behind it, with my gyros, it's going to be really tough for him to really push for any advantage here. You can see he's trying to get shots off with his ballistae, but it doesn't really work, and my catapults will push in and shoo him away. Now that I have 2 towers here, is pretty much a very safe position for my units. So at this point in the game, I am going for upgrades as well. Got my +1 on the way, I'm getting another forge, and I'm just trying to think about maximizing my gyro efficiency. I'm using my gyros as this kind of mobile combat force, so if he goes for any sort of drop or late game play like that, I know I can use these gyros as kind of a unit that will kill the drops and kill all the units coming out of the drops, just because they're straight up decent against archers. Like, they're actually fairly cost efficient against archers straight up. Obviously in large numbers the archers will win, but like, you can use them to fight archers. Like, it's not a problem. And really, he has to have these ballistae units to really have efficient fights. So this fight is not going so well for him. I don't know if he's killed a single unit of ours here. So this is kind of the fight that we needed here. You can see I'm willing to start chasing him down a little bit here, using my gyros to just clean archers up. Now the ballast is starting to do big execution. We've lost a couple gyros in this position, but it was, I think, worth it to clean up all these units, and this now gives us position to take our 4th base. As you can see, Dragon ArcherZ is at 50 workers, so he's got a really, really healthy, actually 52, he's got a very, very healthy economy. He's going to be throwing down more barracks. If we just look at a quick count here, 1, 2, 3, he has about 6 barracks on the way, and 1 advanced workshop. He's also getting that range upgrade, and that's going to be helping those archers fight against the gyros with the +1 range. They have the they just, you know, can stay a little bit farther outside the catapult range and do damage to the gyro units. I'm going to try to do a little bit of a counterattack. Gyros can tank some tower shot shells for a minor amount of time, but they're not going to do well against a ballistae, so I'm forced to run away. I think we do pick off maybe 1 or 2 workers from the mines, but now these gyros have to run away, and this unfortunately was a pretty bad play. Gets caught by archers and ballistae, and lost about 4 gyros in that entire engagement, maybe even more, which is pretty tough in this poor economic position, because I really needed these gyros for some equity. Oh dude, did I just fly these into another tower too? Yeah, so I just lose so many gyros here. Basically just fly them into all the units. So I lose every single gyro except for 1. Yeah, that was really poor. That was a really poor play. Honestly, as soon as I see this, I should have just dodged back and, you know, kept my units alive. So that was like 6, 7 gyro lost. Maybe 6 gyros lost. Really unfortunate. Bad decision making. So we're going to have +1 armor, +1 attack about to finish up. If we look at our Rax player, he has only +1 damage with +1 range. So our unit's going to have pretty good upgrades up against these forces. And he's having a real hard time really busting into this position. This is where losing all those gyros on the other side of the map is going to become painful. Just because once I lost all those units, it allows him to take this fight a lot easier. But my workers are repairing up all the catapults really efficiently. And it's making it really hard for his units to really push in here at all. And now that my tower is going to be getting up in just a couple seconds, he's forced to pull back, rearm, recharge. And it's interesting if we look at the units lost. We're actually pretty equal, only slightly behind. And he has mined about 3,000 gold more. He's got a pretty significant gold advantage there. And really, we've been trading pretty cost efficiently. I think losing all those gyros really bumped that unit loss tab up. Now, of course, cattle shops do cost 85 gold whenever they die, so this unit's loss tab is always a little bit suspect, but I don't think a ton of cattle shops have been hit in this game so far. But yeah, farther on, we can't really look at that tab very efficiently. As far as economies go, it's pretty equal. Both of us are on 4 bases plus a little bit. I'm trying to get in some damage with my catapult drops, but you can see this position is just so hard to catapult drop. He's got the double tower making this base very secure. He's got tons of spotters, so I can't even sneak up with my catapults in any way. And he's also throwing down more bases around the map. So this is just a really comfortable position for the Rax player. He's really got all the gold, all the positions that he needs on the map to win this game. And it's just a really difficult position for the Mech player to be in, because you don't really have any position on the map. Really what I need to be doing right now is thinking about how do I get that 5th base. My main is mining out. You know, the natural and 3rd are not going to be long for this world. We've got a pretty nice army count here. We're up to 134 supply. So it's really just going to be a matter of how do we leverage this army efficiently. He can't stay very long there because there's so many catapult shells rolling in. But he is going to go for a drop on this side of the map. And again, this is where the gyros really become in handy, because my gyros are able to really just clean that entire position up. I think I pulled some workers away, so this is going to cause my this base to be unmined for a little while. I'm trying to do some damage on the other side of the map with some gyros and some catapults here. We are going to pick off some stuff. But once the ballista arrives, we have to run away. There comes that AoE, and that AoE does a ton of damage to all the gyros. You can see that was the upgrade getting hit off there. And we are forced to run on home with these units. So now I'm going to try to push with my main Rax force and take position on the map over here. A couple fireballs roll in here and do some significant damage to my catapults. And also the drops come in. However, I have a pretty large Rax mech force, so I think this trade actually went pretty okay for me. I killed a lot of units in that fight. A lot of cannons get focused down and then killed here, unfortunately. But once my gyros arrive, we're able to just clean this entire position up, and now we are free to take a 4th base. Dragon ArcherZ is going to continue to spam out his units. He really has all the gold and units he really needs. He's got +4/+1, attack. He's facing, looks like, +4/+1. So we're actually up on upgrades. So this is the state in the game where I think we're actually winning as Mech. We have the better upgrades, we have the better units. He is trying to go for a small counterattack, but we're also picking off a bunch of free gyros, or not gyros, what are they called? Mages here. So this army is a little bit scary to deal with. However, I think we can just pull back. We're going to frantically try to pull back gyros and cannons and stuff. And so far, he's basically just killed. He hasn't really killed a ton in this fight yet. He's killed a tower. He's killed a workshop, but it hasn't really been a ton of damage done. Of course, the good thing about this is he's pulling my units. He's really killing gyros and pulling my units into an unpleasant position on the map. And now he's going to try to counterattack down the center. And this is going to be a really significant fight here, as he's trying to take control of this gold mine using ballistae and mage plays. However, there's so many catapults here that these ballistae and Rax units really don't have enough time to kill everything. And we are going to be able to hold both fronts more or less efficiently. And you can see Dragon ArcherZ is really mining a huge amount. He's got this tons of money from the right gold mine. He's finally getting this mine going as well. So he's really up by about a gold mine. He's spending all his money. So the Rax is trading less efficiently here. However, there's just not that many. The Mech player here, we don't really have a lot of position on the map. We're trying to secure this middle position, but it's a pretty challenging thing to defend, this middle position as well as this far left position. So really we need to find a way to re-wall this off, make it much harder to push, and then focus our energy defending this central position. Looking at the supply, again, it's pretty equal. Both players are pretty equal on supply. And I think this is kind of the point in the game where Rax has a lot of potential just to keep trading. Like, Rax has all the money and can keep this fight up. Mech is the one who needs to start taking decisive fights and really securing these bases on the map. I think one mistake that I didn't realize as I'm going forward is the fact that he has this base in the bottom right. I totally didn't scout, and this would be very easy to shut down with a catapult drop, or even just a couple units. So really, this is kind of a big miss on my part, is the fact that he has that base, and I believe I also missed that he has this left base. So these are bases that I really should have control of, and I just totally missed that they exist. And that gives Dragon ArcherZ a ton of gold in this fight. He's got +5. Catapult drop gets cleaned up in the top right. So he's really got all the gold and everything that he needs in this game to keep pushing for advantage. Whereas our position is kind of tenuous. We really don't have the units to take these fights. And it's going to be very challenging to defend positions. So like this position here, we don't really have the units. We're finally getting our mech forces to try to, kind of rotate over to this position. But he's coming in with a really strong mech force at this point. Now there's no what's it called? There's no balliste on this left portion of the map, and these gyros are kind of having free range in the middle of this play, but they do get slowed by the slow effect. And then I try to fight with these units over on the top right here, and the AoE just does too much damage. Meanwhile, the amount of cannons and units I have on the left are really causing this fight to go poorly for the mech player. The amount of soldiers he has needs to be countered by a larger force of gyros and a force of gatlings. So I think we're going to finally get in here, but unfortunately we lose this base, and even though this fight kind of is a trade, right? The fact that he gets away with most of these units and we aren't able to counter and take this base is very significant. I mean, also, I think I totally missed the fact that this bottom right base is taken by him. So just kind of some unfortunate unit choices there. So now he's going to try to walk in and do damage on this side of the map. Meanwhile, my gyros are fighting a tower here, just trying to keep control of that center base. Again, I totally missed the fact that he has this left base. And that really comes back to haunt me later in this game. Now we just see a massive fight here. There's enough gyros and catapults to really just clean this up. He can't take these trades very well, but he's picking off units, and every time that he's killing a unit, it's really tough for the mech player to replace them. Whereas the Rax really has all the money he needs in the world right now. He can just keep spamming these units for days, and it doesn't matter how many he loses. Every time he kills a unit, it's like worth losing 3 or 4 of his own units. Meanwhile, I still haven't realized about this bottom right base, and there's just too much gold coming in from that position. So this is a really good teaching game, because you realize as the mech player, you can't allow significantly this base and this base are really hard for the Rax player to defend. Like a single catapult drop, I can sit here and shoot this for free, and it's really tough for his army to come in and really deal with that. So this base really shouldn't be getting up, and this base is even more difficult for the Rax player to defend. So this is just kind of like a mistake. Allowing these bases to exist is really just a mistake for the mech player. You expect the Rax to have control of this base, this base, this base, but really this base and this base should not be under control of the Rax player, especially for a game that's actually pretty even as far as units lost have. You can even see in these open fights in the middle of the map that our catapults are just doing so much. I think these are +5, +2 catapult. These mech units are absolutely brutal units. Like, they are just wrecking face every time they fight here. Like, we are losing some units during these fights, but honestly, these are fairly cost-efficient trades. Because it's not like the mech units are that much more expensive than the Rax units, and every time a Rax unit dies, that's 85 gold. Like, these are not cheap units, especially like ballistes are very expensive units. So we finally secured this bottom right base, and that is going to be our one lifeline back into this game, is to try to get control of that, and then try to somehow fight for this middle base, which is really the challenging one to control. And looking at the gold counts, again, Dragon ArcherZ is not fully maxed, but he's got 40 workers. He's got basically full mining still. He's actually running out of gold on some of these mines, only 1,000 gold left on some of these mines. But the fact that he mined so much from this bottom right, I mean, he mined about 2,000 gold from this bottom right base. and my bases are all about to mine out. Basically, there's no more gold left. About 500 gold, a couple units left in this gold mine, and it's going to be very challenging to replace these units. And you'll notice that my flock of gyros is pretty healthy. So that's like the one like equity part here. And this is around the time where I realized that, oh shoot, he's got this base over here. So now I'm going to try to use these gyros to pick off units and kind of be annoying on the map as he sends in his main force to try to kill our fourth base. So I'm going to send all my gyros back to try to deal with this. I do run away, but again, there's only about 300 gold left here, so I'm kind of okay letting this die. I'm going to try to kill the ballistay on this side, and once the ballistay is out, I can just kind of jump on these soldiers. This is kind of, again, these are trades that the mech player is sort of okay taking because these are not really, this is not really a base that matters a huge amount. We take a huge AoE on our ballistay, but we are able to clean up this entire army. And this is just super cost efficient. Like, we lost a couple buildings, and we lost a couple workers, but those workers aren't really efficiently mining anyway. I think we are at 14, so we want to probably resaturate a little bit, but we don't need that many workers, right? I think really the significant part in this game is this mine on the left that I really just didn't realize ever occurred in this mine right here. So we're now on 1 base mining, whereas Dragon ArcherZ is on about 2 base mining because these bases are about to mine out. So the match is surprisingly still fairly close, considering the fact that we're both on about equal supply and my mech units are really strong. They're +5, +2. He's got +5, +1. So technically my units are actually better. And mech is just kind of a slightly better cost-efficient composition. And here the gyros are going to get a nice trade because they're just going to kill all these archers kind of for free. And then pick off workers too. And this is a pretty challenging mine for Dragon ArcherZ to really get income from, just because it's very easy for catapults to drop it. So this is like one of the least safe bases you can possibly take as mech. So we're going to take some more AoE shots, unfortunately, but this mine will get sniped down. But it's going to be tough to get out with these gyros. And it looks like we're going to run over towers and we're going to lose 1, 2, 3, 4. So many gyros lost there. So that was a pretty expensive trade on our part. And then this is also really unfortunate, losing just a free dropship for no reason. Can't really be doing that when you're this far down in gold. And I think that was kind of the moment when we're really kind of lost. Because losing all those units for absolute free is just, you know, you can't be doing that. We lost like, you know, 20 supply of units just cut totally for free. I mean, besides killing this one mine, which is good, but it doesn't really do a huge amount. But now it's really down to our last couple units. We've got a little bit of mining here and a couple catapults that really should be in the fight here. And now these gyros are taking a lot of AoE damage. It's going to be hard for them to take open fights. And we're really kind of about 10 supply down. So these Rax forces suddenly become like a lot scarier, right? So here he's trying to go for a bit of a surround. It only works out to a certain extent, but the gyro count really is the one thing that's going to suffer the most from these fights. I think these gyros should have just been not fighting as much. Like, these gyros don't really contribute anything, they just die. The cannons, the catapults, excuse me, are the ones that are doing a ton of damage here. Every time the catapults fire, they're killing Rax units. They're really doing a lot of damage. And really, this trade is good for the Rax, except, but only because they killed all the gyros. I think if I had just run my gyros south and not even fought with them, this would have been like a really great victory for Mech. And actually probably could have been game-winning. Because at this moment, Dragon ArcherZ just doesn't have the gold to totally replace all the units he's losing. So if I take a really efficient trade here, then I can possibly win this game. I mean, from his perspective, though, he's still got units, he's still got gold, he still can produce because he's got 1, 2, 3 full mining bases, and I've only got this single one in the bottom right. So 3 bases against 1 at the moment, and it's just really tough for our units to fight here. However, now that we get here, we can finally shut this mining base down. We just need to queue attack 1 catapult here, and this base stops mining. So we can shut them down to 2 mining bases. which is a significant thing that needs to be done. So we are able to hit a couple rocks in there, kind of stop that mining temporarily, kill a couple workers, and I'm trying to use my cannons here to start sniping down positions on the left. Unfortunately, this leaves my catapults a little bit exposed, so these 3 catapults are going to get exposed and killed. And, ooh, he gets a nice AoE off. I do get a dropship here, so we're trying to somehow get some position with these dropships. And I'm frantically trying to take a 4th base here. So I think now I decide that my only play is to try to maybe defend this 4th base, but I think it's at this point it's just not enough units. We have 43 supply to 80, so finally Dragon ArcherZ has pulled a significant economy advantage. I've got a couple catapults scattered around the map that really aren't in position, and he's just going to walk in and kill this base. So I finally kind of shut down mining at some of these bases, which is things that really should have been done earlier in the game. You can see how just 2 catapults shut this entire thing down. That could have been done like 10 minutes ago. And if you just imagine having about 5,000 less, 3,000 less gold for Dragon ArcherZ, that's would have been a significant thing in this game. We're also going to shut down some mining here, kill some workers, but it doesn't really matter because his main force is now pushing in to this position. I'm trying to get some more units going here, and this is not going to be an easy position for him to break. There's two towers, but of course +5/+1 units don't really care that much about towers, so it's more about how the catapults in the back do and how much damage they can put out. So we are killing soldiers here, but it's not really going to be enough as the Rax units just kind of stream in and do damage here, and that is going to be about it. Dragon ArcherZ barely manages to take this map with really good Rax play. He's been persistent and making some nice engagements throughout, but I think this replay is a really cool showcase for a new style of mech where you kind of focus on this gyro play, and I think this is definitely a game where I made some pretty serious errors as far as missing out on where he had gold mines and stuff. And that kind of led to the fact that he has just way too much gold, and I wasn't able to win it. I mean, you can see that it's 27,000 gold mine to 40,000. I mean, that is a huge amount of extra gold, and it's really difficult to overcome that huge of a deficit, even when you're playing Mech. And I think we had some really solid, cost-efficient engagements. I mean, even looking at the units lost tab, we lost like 100 units less than he did. So that's a significant amount of gold. But it wasn't quite enough. So I hope you guys enjoyed that game. I think it was a really exciting, close-fought Mech versus Rax, one of the better games I've ever played. So I hope you guys really enjoy that, and I will catch you later.